Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Do, Ra, Me, and today I will be reading Chapter 20 of Engagement in Peril by Dara, Odoe, Sup. Chapter 20 is titled Moving to California. In mid-August of 1989, all of a sudden, with little information or details, my family packed up our belongings. We put what we had that would fit into our vehicle and gave away most of the rest of our belongings and moved away to California. So in a red Toyota 4x4, we were off on the roads, hitting the US highways and byways. Before we left our project home then, Uncle came by to say his goodbye and picked up the sofa we gave to him. He told me to watch over my mother and everyone else in the family, and to come back and visit him in Colorado whenever I wanted to. He'd paid for the expenses, he said. He isn't like that anymore. I thanked him, hugged him, and we said our goodbyes. We left early that morning. My older sister had gotten married months earlier and wasn't coming with us. She was staying behind with her husband. It's funny now. Months earlier, I had accidentally witnessed my sister having sex on the kitchen floor with her new husband. But she never knew I saw them that morning. It happened that I went downstairs early on one Saturday morning to get some breakfast before everyone else was awake, so I had thought, and saw my sister and her boyfriend fucking in the kitchen on the tiled floor. I took a quick look and ran quietly back upstairs to my room for the rest of the morning. Sister's husband, then, was a Vietnamese-Cambodian mixed fellow who currently lives in New Jersey and has a new family there. My oldest niece, Chan Rat-Thi, visited her father and her half-sibling several times now since she became an adult herself. Her sibling looked somewhat similar to her, with almost identical facial bone structure and skin tone. After all, they have the same father. They all took after their father. It wasn't long, about a year or two later, that my sister came to live with us in California as well. She had her firstborn, by then, my eldest niece, Chan Rat-Thi. Now, during our road trip to California, we made very few stops. We only stopped to get gas and snack and refreshment. My stepfather drove on the I-70 west and heading toward Utah and onward toward the I-15 south and a small portion of Arizona. We finally stopped to rest when we got to Las Vegas, Nevada, where we stayed the night in a run-down motel. Back then, Vegas wasn't as big as it is now. Mind you, this is 1989, so the old Las Vegas was still around. Mother and stepfather went out that night while I was stuck watching my younger siblings in the motel. While surfing through the channel on the Motel 2, it was the first time I saw the television series Chips. It was about the California Highway Patrol, who solved various crimes during their patrol on the highway and byway of California. I never saw that show before while I was living in Colorado. The next morning, we continued on our way to California. We drove onward toward the Golden State and stayed in the city of Modesto for several weeks. While there in Modesto, we stayed with my mother-in-law from her first marriage to my father, who lived and resided in the city of Modesto for over 15 years or so then. I liked it there in Modesto and didn't want to leave the secluded desert countryside. It was the farm life, and I loved the rural atmosphere. I thought we were going to live there and settle down there, but my parents didn't like the rural lifestyle, so we went onward, farther south, and settled down in Long Beach, California. And we have been here ever since. So it's been 20 plus years now. The drive from Modesto to Long Beach took quite a while, and we were all tired and bushed. Once we arrived to Long Beach that night, we stayed at my mom's friend's apartment off the corner of Atlantic and Hill Street. My mom's friend's apartment was small and cozy. My entire family slept on the living room floor. The apartment wasn't large. It was a family of 6 living in a small one-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of an apartment complex that had a small mini-mart and several mom and pop stops below. That building now is a small family home because the whole rows of several blocks along the Atlantic Avenue corridor have been torn down and remodeled into small family-sized housing unit. Those homes aren't cheap at all. They start at $500,000 or so for a 2-bedroom home. My parents found an apartment to stay for a while the next day. It was quite a terrible place. Our new housing was terrible. The 1-bedroom unit would shake if a car drove by it. It was infested with roaches and insects. But it was all we could afford at the time, and we had something over our head to keep us warm and dry. At the least, it was much better than the housing during the refugee encampment back in the old country. The apartment was on 16th and North Stanton Place and was one of many rickety and run-down apartments there. The area hasn't gotten much better since. I've driven by their area several times lately. Just a few paint jobs and patches are done to it, and still, families that are just getting by still lives there. Just like we were. Our economy hasn't changed much since then. Thank you for listening. This is the end of Chapter 20. Be on the lookout for Chapter 21, titled Schools in Long Beach. Until next time, this is Do, Ra, Mi, and I'll see you later. Thank you.